Oh, hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We are live from Sabata Desawe Kanda, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSV channel 279, on of course the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Okanse. Tonight, 39 persons arrested during the Democracy Hub protest against illegal mining have been remanded, with others to appear in court tomorrow. How and why? We seek answers, plus tell you the exact charges they've been leveled against them and why some lawyers are raising fundamental questions about how things are playing out. Also, civil society continues to mount pressure on government to take decisive steps in dealing with the Galamsey menace. Meanwhile, the media coalition against illegal mining is demanding that the National House of Chiefs clarifies its stance on illegal mining. Stay with us. We've got details and some reactions for you here on Ghana Tonight as we continue the conversation to have you also use your voice. We're here on your election command center. We're in the Ashanti region tonight, where we're learning that a magistrate court in Kumasi has nullified some voter transfers in the Menchia South constituency. Our Northern Bureau Chief William Evans Sinkum is bringing us that exclusive detail here on Ghana Tonight. Stay with us as to exactly what happened in court today. It's pretty instructive, and we'll get all of that here on your election command center. As always, you're an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Let's get talking. Well, let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
A political science lecture has lashed out at governments for staffing the civil service with grassroots and party foot soldiers. Professor Ransford Jampo has described such situation as undermining the neutrality of the civil service. He called for a collective effort against politicians and government who will seek to politicize the civil service.
We do not aspire to achieve the ideals of political neutrality. Every government that gets to power feel that these people they are MPP people, or these people they are NDC people, I cannot trust them. So they set up their own civil service. They appoint one person as an advisor to the minister, and that one person, his salary is more than 100 civil servants.
The civil society organizations against Galamsey have intensified their call on government to declare a state of emergency on the devastating effects of illegal mining. The group in a subtle picket say government's interventions so far have not yielded the desired results, hence the need for what they describe as a comprehensive action.
Still standing by our demands that government should declare a state of emergency and also to ban all mining activities, legal and illegal, in our forest reserves and in our rivers, because we think it is very responsible and not sustainable.
Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf has refuted CAF's claims that Ghana lacks FIFA standard pitches to host Black Stars matches. Following CAF's ban on the Baba Yara Stadium, the only approved venue for international games, Ghana is racing against time to secure a FIFA standard venue for the 2025 AFCON qualifier against Sudan on October 11.
Not that we don't have a FIFA standard. We have FIFA standard pitches in Ghana. We have one in Accra, two in Accra, that's here, Accra Sports Stadium and Lagos Sports Stadium. We have Baba Yara Sports Stadium, FIFA standard. We have FIFA standard Cape Coast. We are renovating a Sipon Sports Stadium.
Member of Parliament for Tamale South and owner of Karela United, Honorable Haruna Ijusi, has revealed that the lack of investment in the sports industry has caused the deterioration of Ghana stadiums. However, given the chance, he would sort out long-term future plans while also bringing in private investors. This comes after most stadiums in the country got closed down in a bid to refurbish them following CAF's decision to put a ban on them.
If you look at Ghana's last match at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium, the technical pundits will tell you that we lost to the pitch. Even passes could not just naturally flow from one end to the other. Currently, even Karela, I cannot use Tamale as my pitch because the Aliu Muhammad Stadium is in such a deplorable state. We are using Nalergo and I'm being punished because it's more costly and more expensive for teams to travel down there to Nalergo, and many clubs are unhappy about it, but we are managing in the time being.
The Food and Beverages Association of Ghana strongly opposed the Ghana Revenue Authority's plan to introduce new digital tax stamp machines for the excise tax collection, citing financial burdens on manufacturers. According to the association, this follows moves by the authority to introduce new machines to replace those currently used by its members in their facilities for the excise tax stamp system.
We also want to declare that the machines is just an individual, so it's going to create monopoly, and such a person can do whatever he wants. He can increase the cost tomorrow, he can increase the cost today, and not only the machines, but the variables that go with the machines, such as the ink and even the stamp, are all going to be bought by the players, and these are all costs.
As more news on 3news.com. Make some time. Visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, their fight against illegal mining has landed them into remand. That is the story of the arrested protesters of Democracy Hub. We're getting to the details in a bit and as to really why this has become concerning, especially for lawyers who have been following this, who are not necessarily the counsel for these persons. But as we do know today, we're going to put it on the screen shortly, 39 persons who participated in that 3-day Democracy Hub demonstration against Galamsey. And that was why they were on the streets over the last 3 days, from Saturday through to yesterday, a few of them. They were protesting against the impact of illegal mining that we are seeing all around us. They've been remanded into custody after an Accra Circuit Court denied their bail application. Now, they were also slapped with multiple charges after their arrest on Saturday, September 21. Now, we're going to get into that shortly, and at least the various charges that they've been slapped with: conspiracy to commit crime, namely unlawful assembly causing unlawful damage, offense, and all those will run through them shortly. But this is the level of the heavy security presence at the Accra Circuit Court earlier today. The court was visibly, as it were, washed with police personnel because these persons who were picked up were arraigned before court earlier today with heavy security and police presence there, and they were in the custody of the Ghana Police Service. You see some of them hugging each other. We understand the lady you see there in black is pregnant, we understand, and she is also amongst those persons who have been detained, this pregnant lady. And also we got reports that one of the persons who has been detained is also suffering from asthma, an asthmatic patient who's diabetic as well, and also with hepatitis B. Now, there are concerns about as to how really these persons are, as it were, going through this process and how things are playing out, especially with their bail application that has been denied. And there are some lawyers who are raising questions about how things played out earlier today in court. The Ghana Police Service issued a statement earlier today. They detailed from their perspective how things have been going as we speak. Here's just highlights of it. 39 of the people who were arrested for engaging in various acts of lawlessness at the 37th intersection in Accra, 22nd, 23rd of September, were put before the court today. As I've indicated to you, the court remanded 28 of them. 28 out of the 39 were remanded into police custody, and the remaining 11 were put into prison custody. So none of them are free as we speak. 30 of the accused persons are to reappear before the court on 8th October 2024, while 9 others are to reappear before the court on the 11th of October 2024. So these two groups, that's the 28 in police custody, 11 in prison custody, are all going to be in these areas. That's a prison custody and police custody from now till the 8th and the 11th of October. Also, the remaining suspects will be put before the court tomorrow. So these 39 we saw today, they are not the only ones. Remember, yesterday, according to the protesters, the leadership of the protesters' legal team, about 46 of them, per the account, had been picked up. And they say there could be more, actually. So the 39 we saw today is just the first group. The police confirms this in their statement that the second group or the rest of the protesters will be put before court tomorrow. And the case is being prosecuted. And take note of this. The last part of the statement that we have from the police service, as we have it, they're going to put on the screen. This case is being prosecuted by the Office of the Attorney General. That's Grace Ansah Kofi, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Director of Public Affairs, you have there. And a fundamental question that we're going to be asking private legal practitioner when he joins us shortly as to really this last part, whether it raises questions. Because yes, by practice and by procedure, the Ghana Police Service prosecutes cases for and on behalf of the Attorney General's office. But in the cases of misdemeanors or light so-called cases like this, you would now want to understand the direct involvement of the Office of the Attorney General in this matter. Well, then again, we'll ask the questions, get some answers to it here on Ghana Tonight shortly. But we've been following this quite closely. A number of the protesters have also been talking. And in fact, the persons who are associated with them, some of their family members have also been talking to us about what they are going through and how they are not able to speak to them and have access to their relatives. The lawyers say they cannot also get access to their clients. They've been denied contact to their client over the last 3 days that they've been arrested as well. And then also issues related to some matters that have come up so far. So those are the issues that coming up right now. And it's one that we'll keep an eye on as well. One of the relatives that we spoke to earlier also gave indication of what they intend to do going forward, especially because of reports of their relative not being too well. They say they received a call from the Ghana Police Service that their relative who has been detained as part of these protesters is not well. Take a look.
We scouted through the various police stations, and then at around 9 p.m., we found her at Kaneshi. I requested from the counter NCO to speak to my sister. What she could do best was to refer me to their station officer. And then the station officer said they were working under specific instructions from the regional command that those who were arrested in relation to the protest shouldn't be allowed any form of access by anybody, not a family member, not even a lawyer.
Despite several attempts, including a return to the regional police headquarters the next day.
Well, so let's stay a bit further on this. Private legal practitioner Martin Kpebo is joining us on Zoom for a quick conversation on this here on Ghana Tonight. Lawyer Martin Kpebo, appreciate your time. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Hello, lawyer. Good evening to you.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Galamsey.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you indeed. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Now, prior to that's the protesters appearing before or being arraigned before the courts today, their legal counsel had indicated that, one, they did not know the police stations that they were being held. 2, they had been denied access to their clients. 3, they did not know of the charges that were being leveled against them until they went to court today. I mean, is this consistent with the practice as you do know it?
Not at all. Not at all. This is a case of turning the bribe. Is what would pertain in a banana republic, not a democratic state such as Ghana. So it tells you that we've gone 4 steps backwards. I mean, that thing looks like a joke. I can't believe that this is what is happening to Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana under Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare. You see, I just can't believe it, because, I mean, even last year's own, where protesters were arrested, the public uproar. Remember a year ago, we were there, we went to join Oliver in doing such a similar demonstration in September, right? And with the arrest, the public showed a lot of revulsion. And then Ekufu-Dampare came out with 9 statements, etc. All right? Even understand the former regional suffered a transfer as a result of that demonstration, right? You see that Dr. Garba Pebi is no longer in charge of the Greater Accra Regional Command because a few persons were arrested, etc. So how come that 1 year on, protesters are arrested, not allowed to see counsel, not allowed to have food, contrary to Article 19, Clause 2. 19, Clause 2 is very clear that when you charge a person, you should, 1, give that person access to a lawyer and other facilities to enable the person to prepare the defense, right? Be able to prepare that for the trial, and so on and so forth. And of course, there is the one that says a person is innocent until proven guilty. So because of that, you are not to use custody, or they say denial of bail, as a form of punishment. So the police were required to, number 1, arraign them within 48 hours. The Supreme Court has made it clear that 48 hours is 48 hours, notwithstanding weekends and public holidays.
And that's the next question I was getting to, because according to some of the lawyers for these protesters, some of them were picked up on Saturday and they've been in police custody until today, Tuesday. That's well over the 48 hours. So could the police have gotten them arraigned before the court on, say, yesterday, Monday, which was a holiday?
At the time, the one who had to implement, that's Eniyebua, JSC, gave a protocol. He issued a protocol in May 2020 on how to activate the weekend courts and public holiday court. I have used it on 5 different occasions during ACP Agojo's trial, during the disturbances in the north, when some people were arrested from the north and brought down here. Okay, and so on and so forth. So we've done it. And then during some other cases in Circuit Court 1. So I've appeared before Justice Efika Sewa Sariboche during the Agojo trial on Constitution Day. That was 7th January 2022. Even the Attorney General was present. Of course, we are asking the Attorney General to resign. So I'm not saying it today in a positive light for him, because he should have resigned a long time ago. But 7th January 2022, we're in court with him. Constitution Day, right? That before Justice, so we appeared, and a little people, we appeared before Justice Francis Obri. Then other ones, then Justice, the one in the Circuit Court. I could name them. So you remember the first time Oliver was arrested? That was the same thing. They didn't arraign him within 48 hours. And we kept giving the police education that no, there is a way to do it. Justice Eniyebua had given the protocol. You just go and see a registrar. Then the registrar will escalate it to the higher ups. Then they will arrange for a judge. That's the protocol. Remember, this is the decision. I took the case to court. And the Supreme Court gave that decision in December 2019. That is Justice Sophia Kufu's validatory judgment. That was the last judgment she gave when she was leaving the bench.
And is that is Pebo number 2, correct?
Number 4. That's the weekend court. Pebo number 4 versus Attorney General number 4. The Pebo number 2 is a non-bailable offenses case that every decision is bailable.
And in this case, these persons have been denied bail. They are still going to be in police and prison custody until the 8th and 11th of October. That's the development as well today.
Yes, so that's very sad. But the saving grace is that under the law, even though it's been adjourned to 8th and 11th, the law permits us to go tomorrow, the next day, etc., with cogent reasons to show why the judge should take the bail applications before the 8th and the 11th. And respectfully, I think this is a good case in which such an application can be made to abridge the time. You remember this man's case, Nyineku, the Beige Capital case. He went to court, he was denied bail. Then the next day, or was it the 2 days after, they went back, this lawyer Thaddeus, went back to abridge the time. Yes, I'm citing that one because Nyineku's case was in the public. But cases that the media don't cover, we do those cases too, where we abridge the time. So nobody is going to wait till 8th October and 11th of October. No, in the next few days, lawyers will be going back to the court to abridge the time and to have the bail application remade. Because, hey, citizens' lives are precious, eh? Yes. A citizen's life is more precious than the properties that are alleged to have been destroyed, etc. So we are not to start punishing citizens even when there has not been a trial. No, the police don't need them in custody for 2 weeks. No, it's not true. You know, sometimes you can't blame the court because it's the police who are seized with the docket. So they like to just remand people. They let them keep them in remand. Police don't have a judicial mind. Police are not judicial. They are police. They like to lock up citizens. Unfortunately, that's what George Ekufu Dampare is doing. And it's unfortunate. Look, it's what I can say. That's why I'm saying IGP has to go. Here, Madam Ando Kofi. When we reported the Chairman Wuntumi case, the Akunta mining case, why didn't they prosecute that case? If they had prosecuted that case, because of who Chairman Wuntumi is, can you imagine the chilling effect it would have had on other Galamseyers? If they saw every day, Mr. Okanse reported today in court, Chairman Wuntumi's case, this is what has happened in court, blah, blah, blah. Can you imagine how it would have
So you want the IGP sacked because of this?
Yes, because he failed to prosecute the Chairman Wuntumi case, and also because he has abused the rights of these citizens. This demonstration. It's too much. IG is being too political. He's being too political. Who is he defending? President Kufuor. Kufuor is down. Kufuor has failed. Ghanaians have given the verdict. So why is IG continuing being so political, being more Catholic than even the Pope? Why? Kufuor is down. The verdict is out. This is the worst president we've had, who said he would put his line and his presidency on the line. He ended up just being a sloganeer, right? Just sloganeering. So why is IG Dampare defending? Why is Madam Ando Kofi defending him? Why?
Counsel, so, and finally, and this is a quick one before I let you go. We're saying in this case, as well, by procedure, the police prosecutes cases for and on behalf of the Attorney General's office. That's normal procedure. But in this case, based on the police's own statement, which we'll put portions of it on the screen shortly, they say on the last point that this case is being prosecuted by the Attorney General's office. Does anything strike you there as reason to raise questions, really?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The first thing is that usually quite a number of the offenses, okay, that are on the charge sheet from what we've heard, unlawful assembly, for instance, it's a misdemeanor. When we say misdemeanor, it's usually one of the lowest crimes. So usually people are not sent to jail for misdemeanors. They are fined if they are found guilty, right? So the Attorney General usually doesn't prosecute these cases unless there is politics in it. Unless there is politics in it. So you see why I said that political, being more Catholic. I was destroyed. Unlawful assembly. It's a misdemeanor. It's a distraction of property that we need to see the charge sheet to see what kind of property, because that one, it has two levels. There's a misdemeanor, and then there can be the second-degree felony. But once I've not seen the charge sheet, I cannot stick out my neck to say second-degree felony. The difference is that when the value of the property is less than 1 million cedis, then it's a misdemeanor. But when it is above 1 million cedis, then it's a second-degree felony. So
right. Unfortunately. Lawyer Martin Kpebo, a point well made indeed, and I think that you made quite clearly the details of the position of the law on this matter and some of the issues and how things are playing out now, which raises fundamental questions about the procedure as is being employed now. But I thank you for time here on Ghana Tonight. I really do apologize for the cranky nature of the connection to Lawyer Martin Kpebo today, but he's a private legal practitioner joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, there's a development in Kumasi in the Ashanti region regarding some voters' transfer where a magistrate court has been making orders. We touch base with a man on the ground, William Evans Sinkum, and to get details of this, because this is interesting and it's coming at a time like this. We're talking about issues related to errors in transfers and what the NDC has been talking about. This is your Election Command Center. And this is your Election Command Center. A magistrate court in Kumasi in the Ashanti region has nullified a transfer of voters in the Menchia South constituency. The court on Tuesday, September 24, that's today, ordered the Electoral Commission of Ghana to revert the voters in question back to where they were transferred from. That's what happened. William Evans Sinkum is our Northern Bureau Chief. He's joining us on the telephone for a quick one on this. William, I appreciate your time here on Ghana Tonight. Let's get a bit more details into this. What, first off, is the foundation of this case that has led to the court's ruling that these voters were wrongly transferred, and so the EC should reverse their transfers of their votes?
Well, so on September 20, the parliamentary candidate of the ruling New Patriotic Party, Nanaje Bakwewa, and some executives of the party petitioned the court that some about 1,000 voters who transferred their vote to the Menchia South constituency did that illegally. And in fact, he cited a CI 91 as the foundation for his petition, as far as his argument that those voters do not qualify to vote in that particular the Menchia South constituency is concerned. Don't forget that Menchia South constituency is the constituency of the vice presidential candidate of the ruling New Patriotic Party, Dr. Matthew Pokufempe, who was once upon a time the lawmaker for that particular constituency. So after the hearing, or after petitioning the court invited landlords of those about 1,000 voters alleged to not having the legal right to vote in that particular constituency or the Menchia South constituency to come there, or to come to the court and then testify. So some came and some could not make it. So today we understand that the court made a ruling, that the Kumasi Magistrate Court made a ruling that about 600 voters out of the 1,000 do not qualify, or their voter transfer have been nullified by the court. But as I speak to you now, both the Electoral Commission, when I made call to the Electoral Commission, they are saying that they do not have the full fact of this particular ruling, and for that matter, they are still waiting on the court to provide them full details so they can also do some reconciliation. Later by tomorrow, they are likely to come out with their position as far as today's court ruling is concerned. Of course, for the NDC, it's kind of indifferent. I spoke to the regional organizer of the party. They are saying that so far, those people whose name were allowed to remain in the voters' roll as far as Manchester constituency is concerned, they still have their numbers there. They still have their people there, and so they also do not know about 600 people that the NPP claimed that they were brought into the Manchester constituency illegally. For the NPP, they think that it is a win for them, but it looks like we are going to clear a specific number as to how many voters who transferred their vote to the Manchester constituency were affected by the latest court ruling, and what they are going to do. I'm talking about the voters, what they are going to do as far as this particular ruling is concerned.
So essentially, this is the NPP issue, correct? That is a case of NPP members within that constituency taking this action to court, and the court indeed looking into their case and making that ruling that their votes were transferred wrongly, and so that action should be reversed.
Well, absolutely. So that is the NPP taking the matter to court, that they suspect that about 1,000 voters who transferred their vote from various constituencies to the Manchester South constituency did so illegally. And for that matter, they are seeking a reverse of that particular action, which the court, the Commercial Magistrates Court today granted.
William, appreciate you for this. And William Evans Singum is our Northern Bureau Chief there. And this is an issue that also clearly raises fundamental questions about what has to be done as well going forward, especially with this court ruling and the concerns that the NDC has raised about these wrongful transfer of votes or illegal transfer of votes, which the court now has ruled. And this is the case of the MPP, and this is the Manchester South constituency. That's the constituency of the vice presidential candidate of the MPP, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh there. We'll see how things play out in the coming days on this matter here on your Election Command Center. But coming up next is an issue that is taking not just the environmental angle or the social angle, but the political angle as well, because where exactly does the National House of Chiefs stand in the matter of illegal mining? The Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining has been demanding answers, specifically from the President of the National House of Chiefs. And this was on the back of a statement that the President of the National House of Chiefs made, that's Ojehoho Yaojebi II, sometime last week, about the impact of the ban or the proposed ban on illegal mining when it comes to the economy and so on. Let's take a listen to exactly what the President of the National House of Chiefs said, reason why this coalition is asking for clarity.
You all know I hate Galamsey. I fight against it. It, however, does not mean that you shouldn't mine. We own the gold. There are good ways of mining. If you make an application, you'll be taught how to correctly mine. Those calling for state of emergency, a ban on mining, are not considering its impact. It will have dire consequences. People can lose their jobs. Do you know how much money we'll lose?
So that's
the President of the National House of Chiefs there, talking about this proposal not being thought through because of the impact. Well, the coalition, the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, they issued a statement earlier today. They're asking a number of questions. With a sense of pressing urgency, they've noted with utter disappointment the position of the National House of Chiefs conveyed through its president. Now, the question is whether the president spoke in his personal capacity or in his capacity representing the opinion of all the members of the House of Chiefs. That's another question altogether. They're purporting to reject any ban on all forms of mining. The coalition further notes the House of Chiefs' notable silence and its belated position now published. And should this statement be correctly understood the way it is relayed, the coalition notes that the National House of Chiefs has regrettably reinforced and incentivized the rampant and wanton destruction of Ghana's environment and the Commonwealth bequeathed to us by our forebears. So that's there. But Engineer Dr. Ken Ashigbe is one of the leaders, in fact, the convener for this coalition against Galamsey, issued a statement. He's joining us on Zoom. Appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us, Engineer Dr. Ken Ashigbe. So really, we played that statement from the President of the National House of Chiefs. Clear in his words there. You're asking questions. Exactly what clarity are you talking about now?
So if you, the House on the 6th of February this year, they had, their communique had some 6 points, which included establishment of special courts to prosecute offenders of illegal mining and logging expeditiously. And then they also included being placed, being put on boards, members being put on boards of these regulatory institutions. But then when since we've got this surge in turbidity, with turbidity getting as high as 14,000 in the sector in my water works, we have not had the Council of the National House of Chiefs issue any statement specifically, only to hear that the President of the Council of Chiefs talk about his credentials in terms of fighting Galamsey, but then talk about the fact that he was against, the ban on illegal mining. I'm not too sure the way he puts it. And he's against this state of emergency and all the calls that over 50 bodies are calling for, but does not really offer any alternatives about how to deal with the challenges that we are confronted with, and wanting to make the argument for the monies that we make out of mineral exploration. And we believe that for somebody that holds the particular seat that he holds as a revered chief and as a president of the House of Chiefs, it is important that when we are within a crisis, they are very clear in the points that they make, especially when you have, as I said, stability getting as high as 14,000, you have people dying in the pits, you have your water being polluted with heavy metals, you have several chamfans sitting on our water bodies. What exactly is the position of the National House of Chiefs, especially when we know that the water bodies and the buffers of the water bodies are illegal to mine. So there's no call of a ban on that. That one is just declaration of the state of emergency and taking the actions to enforce that particular law. The only place that the ban is being asked for, whether legal or illegal, it's in the forest reserves for which most of these river bodies take their sources.
Right. But the President of the National House of Chiefs, Engineer, was quite clear in his thought and his position that this call for a ban on small-scale mining and in fact illegal mining and all forms of mining has not been thought through well by you because of the consequence and the impact on it that's on the economy and other matters as well. So you should consider that. But then again, you raised questions about it. Unfortunately, we lost Engineer Dr. Ken Ashigbe there. We'll try to raise him back on the telephone. That's also on Zoom to have a conversation on this. But on the back of this, I want to tell you that tomorrow here on TV3 and on 3FM 92.7, we are joining forces with all like-minded groups and individuals to speak against the impact of illegal mining. It's not going to be a period of no action, talk only. So we're asking, the Galamsey fight beyond the talk, what next? It's tomorrow at 10 a.m. here at TV3, the Executive Theatre. Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, Brigadier General Nuno Mensah, retired, former National Security Advisor, Awala Sewa, Coordinator, Eco-Conscious Citizens, Dr. Richard Selome, General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. We have Mustafa Saidu, who's a Director, Nature and Development Foundation. They are partnering us here at Media General to do this. And then also Daryl Bosu, Deputy National Coordinator of Arocha, Ghana, and Andy Apiakubi is MP for Asante Achim North Constituency. He makes the claim that in his constituency there's no Galamsey taking place. Want to have him tell us what has contributed to this success story that he has. We're bringing all these persons together to talk about all the aspects of this Galamsey conversation, from the health aspect, from the environment aspect, and also how it is impacting on our water. The Director General of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, would also be joining us here tomorrow morning on TV3 and on 3FM 92.7. So make a date to join us. Let's have this all-important conversation here on Media General. Now, coming up next, we cross over live to New York in the United States of America, where the United Nations General Assembly is ongoing for some live updates here on your Election Command Center. Our international correspondent, Sani Abdul Rahman, is going to be joining me shortly to have a conversation on how things have been playing out, especially with conversations that are of interest to us as a country. And the President, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, this is his last General Assembly, is going to be attending, or he is attending, and also been making some comments. We understand tomorrow he is expected to deliver an address at the General Assembly. We'll get all of that detail. But earlier today, the President of the United States, Joe Biden, had a word for Ghana and other countries going to the polls this year and the need to uphold all the tenets of democracy. Take a look.
It's been the honor of my life. There's so much more I want to get done. As much as I love the job, I love my country more. I decided after 50 years of public service, it's time for a new generation of leadership to take my nation forward. We've seen citizens across the world peacefully choosing their future, from Ghana to India to South Korea, nations representing 1/4 of humanity who will hold elections this year alone. My fellow leaders, let us never forget, some things are more important than staying in power.
Well, it says some things are more important than staying in power. So are the last words of Joe Biden to leaders of countries going to the elections, like Ghana, obviously. Some 73 days to election day, December 7, Menio Election Command Center. Let's cross over to New York live right now to my colleague, Sani Abdul Rahman, who is connecting with us. And Abdul, Sani, can you hear me? Good evening from Ghana. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight.
Good evening, Alfred.
Now, if we could flip it around, and I want to see you as we speak. So you tell us exactly what's been going on. If you could flip the camera around so we see you right now, we get to see what's going on as well, what has been happening over the period. And indeed, well, thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Run us through how the day has been at the UN General Assembly today.
Alfred, if the camera lens is okay, a lot has been happening here at the UN headquarters. As you indicated, the highlight of the day has been the address by the US President Joe Biden, who used the occasion to highlight the achievement of his administration on the global stage. Let's not forget, when he took over, he made a pledge to restore America's leadership on the global stage, which, according to his party, the previous administration had tainted the image of the United States on the world stage. So he talked briefly on that, also talked about efforts by his administration to unite the world. We are seeing growing division, Alfred, on all fronts. In the area of economy, we are seeing a lot of trade wars. In the area of security, we are seeing multiple conflicts in Africa, in Europe, in the Middle East. Also, in the area of technology, we are seeing cyber attacks growing. We are seeing the threats posed by artificial intelligence. All these issues were raised by Joe Biden in his farewell address as the U.S. President of the United Nations today, Alfred.
I see. Now, and it obviously mentioned Ghana in there, and talk about Ghana. President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo is there, and you tell me that he's expected to address the gathering tomorrow?
Yes, Alfred, even before that, I think Joe Biden made good use of his ordeal, what happened to him sometime in June when members of his own party raised concern about his fitness to run for office. He has used this story to tell world leaders who will also be going for elections maybe this month, next month, like Ghana is going on December 7 and the rest of the countries. Some countries have not even fixed the election days yet because of issues that they have internally. So these are all issues that could lead to chaos in their respective countries. Of course, it has rippling and spreading effects, as we have seen in a whole lot of places around the world. So Joe Biden is telling his story and telling world leaders that if left to him alone, he would have stayed in office. But clearly his party wanted somebody else and he had to give way. So he's also telling them, when you lose power, peacefully hand over so that the country will not be destabilized. In terms of President Akufo-Addo, yes, he's poised to deliver his statement tomorrow. We are already aware of some Ghanaians who would be protesting around the New York headquarters, who will be protesting against what they have described as his bad leadership, according to them. So we'll be engaging them tomorrow to understand what they have. But the president essentially will be telling the world what they need to do to help Africa accelerate its development. The president has been very vocal when it comes to the imbalances in how the global governance system is being operated and how it is impacting negatively the socio-economic development of Africa. So he's expected to go all out, especially this is his last address. He has basically nothing to lose. So he will be going all out on that front. He has also been talking about the financial reparation for slavery that happened centuries ago. We have seen some Western nations admitting the cruelty and the injustice meted out to our forefathers, and they are willing to have a negotiation. But President Akufo-Addo wants the entire process accelerated.
Abdul Sani Rahman, thank you very much for this update. And tomorrow at 2 p.m. Ghana time, you said the president will be addressing the gathering there. We'll connect with you as always. Thank you so much for giving us this brief. Appreciate you. Sani Abdul Rahman is our international correspondent, my colleague here at Media Journal, covering the United Nations General Assembly here on your Election Command Center and across all Media Journal platforms. And there's more on 3news.com. Right after this quick break, we're getting to Manifesto Check. Stay with us.
One bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
75 days since the last day of last season. We are ready to do it all again. Phil Foden is having the season of his life. Brilliant! Just brilliant! That is quite something!
Watch all the Premier League, La Liga and Serie A games on DSTV Compact for only 300 cedis a month.
Luckiest.
Star 712 hash.
Luckiest everywhere.
8K. Hey, you get an 8K. Get back packing so you have to one lie. Hey, wait.
You go put it on his tab. This is my man.
Good luck. Hey, so Google radio. We are star 712. It's much more phone. I'm on dialing the magic numbers. Star 712. Now welcome to the luckiest. And I'm with me at home ticket. You can buy for yourself or your loved one. Mommy, tell mommy who's here.
You're buying for me, right?
Or who else?
Oh.
Let's choose buy tickets for others.
Love you, boo boo.
Maybe straight to option 4. Now, you need to buy tickets worth 50 Ghana to qualify. Yes, you can buy random or preferred tickets. I'm choosing random tickets. Listen, if you buy the random ticket, the system chooses a random number for you. But if you buy the preferred, you get to input your own preferred 5 digits. 5. Baby, give me your 5 numbers. And how much are we buying?
Babe, look at the body and buy you.
With your body,
Hey,
there we are. Tread cautiously. Now follow the prompts and confirm. Now the luckiest.
The luckiest is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform, not for persons below 18 years. T&Cs apply.
Welcome to Rehoboth Havens, a tranquil oasis in the serene surroundings of Ayib.
We are running for culture. We are running for tradition. We are running for endurance, peace, tolerance, and yes, the Oxygen City is running. It's the annual Asogli Marathon. Get ready for an exciting, fun, and grueling race from Anirawasi to the Ola Park, who is hosting a mega marathon as part of activities marking the Asogli Yam Festival. Professionals, amateurs, keep fit clubs, religious groups, schools, get ready for the race of your life. Date Saturday 28 September. Time 5 a.m. There are exciting prizes available to be won. The overall winner takes home 8,000 Ghana cedis and a ticket to participate in the Berlin Marathon. Registration is 100 Ghana cedis. Register and let's get running. Call 0201 069 114. Asogli Marathon is sponsored by Vena Purified Water, Rush Energy, media partners Joy Prime, Wezo TV, and Ho FM.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chesena me ankasa me period na se problems wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chesena nya asem ketewa na me coin point no mo hwe me modem no mo hwe bibia na so mo meduro me fire no ene ma won kra mienu kofro kwa na mkwan mu a eba head everything yourself
me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko end point o mama no nura ene ne ho eden a watimi asori anante.
That's end point for you of Acrobato. Hello hey ohwehwe what che okay a free bra wo di end point what dance am me call you no me Johnson sema na enkoyie and person na my nyina na magina sebema na me be fear for there the one nyina jaresa. You heard everything. I have secret. M-Punch is my secret. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. I'm free.
Faculty. So no eviction tonight. We are not going to send anyone home. We are going to let these two and allow the voters to decide who their winner is by 12 midnight on Tuesday.
It's time to vote for your favorite contestants to secure a spot in the grand finale. Will it be Ra or Hatie? You have until midnight on Tuesday, September 24, 2024 to cast your vote. Remember, you can vote in the MT Reality app or by dialing the short code *713*13#.
GMB is sponsored by Galamsey Acrylic Paint, Heaven Black Mosquito Spray and Coil, Enapa Foods, Nescafe Blood Tonic, Frutelli Calipo, Reflow Sanitary Pad, Vitamilk, Obuasi Bitters, Global Wings Travel and Tour,
Sankofa Natural Spices, MDS Lancet, Polytank.
So check tonight. Something about the political parties' position on the anti-LGBTQ conversation and matters arising. Dennis?
Yes, rightly so. So you recall that this conversation has been a very topical one, at least in the last 2 years. And many had thought that when they got to the parties crafting their manifestos, it would be one of the things that would find their way into their manifestos, just so that they can solidify the public comments that they've been making. You do recall that it got to a point where every leader of the political parties was required to make a public statement as to whether they were for or against anti-LGBTQ. Then we go to a point where some members of parliament, predominantly from the minority, sponsored a private members' bill to have a law that would prescribe all activities of LGBTQ in Ghana. So flowing from that, the expectation was that if those public commitments were made before the crafting of the manifestos, then those views or those positions should manifest in their manifestos. We've been looking at the manifesto to see if they've come in any shape or form. But let's take you back to January 2024, where former president and now flag bearer for the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, made a public statement regarding his stance on the matters of LGBT. And this was what he said: "I am against LGBTQ. I am a member of the Assemblies of God Church, and my faith is against it. The faith I have does not allow a man to marry a man and a woman to marry a woman." He continues by saying that the anti-LGBTQ currently before Parliament, the government has indicated that President Akufo-Addo will not sign it into law when passed. And this was John Mahama speaking about what would become of the anti-LGBTQ bill if it was passed by Parliament. This was in January 2020.
I see.
You and I know what has become of it. It's now become a subject of litigation before the Supreme Court. Now, when you look at the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party and vice president at that, he also made a public statement regarding his position on this, and this was in April 2024, few months after John Mahama had made his stance clear. He also says that as a Muslim, my view on this matter aligns with the position of my religious faith. The Holy Quran is replete with verses frowning on LGBTQ acts, including same-sex marriages. My faith is therefore very strictly against the practice of homosexuality. No ifs or buts, no shades of grey. So he had also made this public declaration on his position on this. It does reflect his personal view, but the sentiment out there was that what really are the positions of the parties themselves when it comes to this, and will these manifest in their
But they all make
manifestos?
reference to their religious affiliations,
Yes.
right?
So when you look at the MPP manifesto, for instance, they have just a small part of it that says that they are making a promise to protect the Ghanaian cultural and family values.
Right.
As to what this exactly means, it's quite unclear. But when the vice president was confronted with the question as to whether or not he would sign the anti-LGBTQ bill to law, this was the response that he gave.
The bill is before the Supreme Court right now, and I think once the Supreme Court brings it, I think there are certain challenges that have been made to it to say that it is not consistent with the Constitution or whatever. But of course, we will wait for it to come, and once it's out of the Supreme Court and they declare it as constitutional, I believe that signing is automatic. There shouldn't be any issue. No ifs and no buts. Bamuyada.
Bamuyada.
Yes, no ifs, no buts.
Bam.
But of course, this is what is captured in the manifesto. You are unable to find anything of this sort in the NDC manifesto.
But you know, the basis for that question, and this is in 30 seconds, before he becomes president or the outcome of this election, this bill, if not passed into law, will die with the life of this parliament, and the entire process will start all over again in the next parliament, correct?
Yeah.
So whoever becomes president 2025 would have to deal with a new process of a new bill.
And that is even the more reason why there had to be a commitment of some sort that will be made in the manifestos of the respective parties, just so we know where they are stand. But at least this is here to protect Ghanaian cultural and family values. The NDC does not have anything of this sort, but at least, I mean, they've made their position also clear through their flag bearer. But that's it for Manifesto Check. The verdict, as we always say, is with the people.
It is indeed with the people. Dennis Poberi with them. There's more news on 3news.com. My name is Alfred Akansey. Join us same time tomorrow, 10 p.m. for GhanaTonight. Make a date tomorrow at 10 a.m. for our conversation on the fight against illegal mining here at TV3 Executive Theatre. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.